Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It's Queen J Lotus King Sun Kiss coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe for part 2 of The Real Housewives Reads for Wendy Osefo. So this one is probably not gonna be that long because I'm just gonna be covering the news about these aliases, and I wanted to get into some questions about her degrees. And I am gonna try to shuffle on camera. I'm gonna try to do as much on camera as I can, but y'all, what you don't see, you just won't. So, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the specificities of this here read. So, I'm just gonna jump straight into the nitty gritty of the situation because in my previous read, make sure that you tune in. Wait, this might not even be part 2. We'll make sure that it's arranged appropriately. Playlist, links in the comments, description box, all of the things. All right. So, in my previous part, it had come out that Wendy is not new to this. She true to this. See, a lot of people have had it have had the conception perspective, if you will. I'm making sure my words is right. A lot of people have had the consensus, the perspective that this is just something that her and Eddie woke up and decided to do off the backs of like hitting the money block and this and that and the third. But in my previous reading, it had come out according to the cards, according to spirit, the channeling, all of that, okay? Allegedly, all the while, according to, okay, my interpretation of the gifts that I have amongst the cards, okay? And it had done said that she has been like this here. This is the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. She has had that lack mentality that influences 2, 3, 4. As I say this, that's what the reading revealed. That she's had that lack mentality that influences thievery since childhood. And child, I mean, it makes sense to me because what I have always known about thieves is that type of stuff shows up in childhood, and if you don't nip it in the bud, then it will only get even more progressive. And so specifically, also what had come out in the previous reading was that her one of her beginning things was stealing identities. That's what had come out in the reading, that one of her beginning things was stealing people's identities, information, things of that nature. Even in the sense of like, maybe not like stealing their social security number, but taking one person's government name, another person's address, another person's backstory, another person's license number, things like that, taking bits and pieces of different people's identities, or stuff that's connected to their identities and records and whatnot, and using them for herself, combining them all together and using them for herself. So what I am going to ask as it concerns these aliases, and I'm using the Sun and Moon Tarot here, okay? And this deck resonates most highly with fire signs, but also resonates with the intuitive energy of water signs. And also know that fire signs are highly intuitive as well. So that's the parallel and conjunction that's like going on with this deck of cards. All of that. So yeah, honey, the duality of power between fire and water. All right, anyway. So Wendy and y'all, my hands are, I'm a short person. All right, so y'all gotta bear with me. Okay, Wendy and Eddie, their aliases. So I'm gonna start off by simply asking, why do Wendy and Eddie have so many aliases? Why does Wendy and Eddie Osefo have so many aliases? Why does Wendy and Eddie have so many aliases? So, oh, here it is. Now, so before I had even finished the official question and pull, it's two cards that fell out. And so these cards are just like further indication, includes things to consider as it concerns the actual answer card that came out. So those first two cards that flipped out and fell out on the floor and like tried to hide themselves, okay? So that's giving us further indication. We got the star sideways. And it may be like a flip perspective to y'all, but the way it came out is sideways with the head going to the right. So there is, what I'm hearing, false positivity going on here. Okay, and combining that with the Three of Swords that came out sideways with the head going to the left, this is giving an overt energy, an excessive energy of negativity, as well as reaffirming the false positivity going on here. So in a nutshell, what I'm hearing is Wendy and Eddie have people that they admire, like the power of them. Who's coming up right now specifically is Candy and Todd. Very, very peculiar. And don't fret, I got a reading coming for them too. But yeah, Candy and Todd are coming up here, as well as other people. And if you have seen the previous reading, there was a card and some messages that came out concerning that aspect, and them taking a lot of different characteristics from different, power couples that they admire and trying to use that as their image, the image that they are wanting to emulate, the lifestyle narrative that they're wanting to lead with to the public. Okay. That being said, emulating these things, like I said, false positivity indicated in this card with it coming out sideways and the head going to the right. Them, they're saying how a lot of people will say there's no such thing as couple goals. You don't need to idolize anybody's relationship. And that's a part of what this is. Spirit is saying that they've done the most trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to emulate all of these different people in relationships and not realizing exactly what they're committing to. And that being said, with this star card specifically, and it being in conjunction with the Three of Swords and the energy that I'm getting from that is potential, like, actual root work, if you will, also being in the mix, allegedly, honey. That's what's channeling through, okay? But I don't know them. I wasn't there, so it's alleged. But that's what's channeling through, that there is, like, some energy harvesting, destiny swap type of root work, spiritual castings type shit going on, that Wendy and or Eddie and or she could have some member of her family or someone close in proximity that she knows that does that type of work and been trying to get them to do it for her. That's leading me to 9/11 as I say this, so there's confirmation that I'm going to ask. That's leading me to ask. It sounds a little crazy, but I know, especially at this point, I ain't crazy. So that's leading me to ask, especially with Candy and Eddie channeling through. Candy and Todd channeling through. I'm going to end up asking if she has thrown some roots their way and if that has absolutely anything to do with their current news. So also with this Three of Swords card, that being said, this Three of Swords card is also indicating infidelity, which had also come up in the previous reading, that a part of how they got caught up in this situation is because there has been infidelity, and very likely either one of them started cooperating with the police and snitched on the other one because they were being spiteful as it concerns the infidelity and the extracurricular activities, and or one of the extracurricular activities knew the information and spilled the beans, as a result of feeling like, you just treat me like coleslaw. So yeah, so to get into the specificity of the answer card that came out, why do they have all of these aliases? So we got the Fool card, and very simply stated, they think they fooling people. It's for foolery. 1101, as I say, that is for foolery. Literally to try and fool people, to pull the wool over their eyes, to try to throw people off of their track, to all of the things that they be doing. And with it being accompanied by these two cards and the messages of these two cards, it's also given that they don't just have these aliases for, I kind of lipstick right there. Anyway, they don't just have these aliases, allegedly. They don't just have these aliases for scammery. They also have these aliases to cheat on each other in peace. That's what's come up here. That's what's come up there. And so, honey. And boom, TikTok Mia. And I'm gonna get to Mia also, though, right? Okay, so what I'm going to ask next for your girl is follow-up question to why do they have all them aliases? 1212 as I'm speaking and continuing on. So, we got the Prince of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Let's see how I want to ask this. I'm going to ask, does Wendy have those aliases for the purpose of stealing people's identities? And I'm asking specifically as it concerns, like, literally stealing their identities, their social security card information, credit card information, running people's credit cards, stealing credit cards, licenses, different IDs, things of that nature. Does Wendy have several aliases for the purpose of stealing people's identity? All right. So we have yes. And a thought popped into my head as soon as those cards flew out before I even looked at them. And I want you to look very, very close at this card, the imagery of the card. Look very, very close at that imagery, okay? Because I'm finna ask a follow-up question. There's a follow-up question that came to mind as soon as them cards flew out before I even looked at them. And I want you to look very close at that because it's a follow-up question that I'm going to ask right after this. But this is a yes. So this and the messages that's coming through is indicating, alleged confirmation of what I just said that came out in the previous cards, which is they got all them aliases, Wendy in particular, because that's the name I just said. Wendy got all them aliases for the sake of stealing people's identity, scamming, all of the things. Now, another thing we have here is the Tower card in reverse. So the Tower card coming out in reverse represents straight up trickery. Okay, straight up trickery. So based on what I asked, this is a yes, as well as like it's yes and no. It's yes because it's answering what I asked, but it's no because it's like there's more that I didn't say in the question. That's why the yes came out as the Tower card in reverse, because it's more to it that I didn't ask. But the simple answer is to still identities. Yes. Now, what this card right here is indicating something that I already allegedly know intuitively based on what I'm feeling channeled through. But I'm doing this in this way also to like show my work, if you will, and let y'all be a part of the process. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead to my follow-up question, which is, and see, being the fact that Tower card came out in reverse, like I was going to ask before, I was going to ask like simply about Wendy's kids, but the Tower card coming out in reverse represents something much stronger, much bigger, much like more expanded and spread out. You know, it's like several generations type shit, and so it's leading me to ask. I'm gonna ask two different ways, honey. So on one hand, I'm asking, has Wendy misused her children's identities, her children's information, her children's identification information, social security cards, names, things of that nature? Has Wendy has Wendy misused her kids' governmental information for the sake of pulling monetary scams? So, so the first card that came out here is the Five of Pentacles. Well, this is not the first card that came out. This is the card that was closest to me. These other two cards actually came out first. But this one is to be read first because it's very important as it concerns the perspective that Spirit is bringing up to me. That's why I wanted to be very mindful about the words I used when I asked the question. So that's why I said, has Wendy misused her kids' information as opposed to having stole it? Because what this card is indicating, and the Five of Pentacles coming out when it comes to asking yes or no questions, the Five of Pentacles is another one of those cards that is like indicating of trickery. So given the nature of the question that I asked and the fact that it came out, it's inevitably a yes. Okay, despite, you know, what it can have in any other case, it's inevitably a yes, but it's coming out in this form because of Wendy's perspective. And that is because essentially Wendy feels entitled to use her kids' information to do whatever it is that she wants or feels a need to do. And that's also why, if you see there, the worry card, and look at the imagery there, and the Five of Pentacles has to do with like being ostracized, being put out, being cast astray. And so what I'm picking up on here, what's channeling through, is that there have been moments and or several moments, 1919 as I'm saying this, honey, there have been several moments where they have likely been hit with eviction notices, past due bills, things of that nature, and they felt entitled to use their kids' information to get out of it, get ahead of it, get behind it, that type shit. Now, the other two cards that came out is the Hanged Man and the Prince of Wands. And what this is giving is that, I'm not trying to flip y'all off. However, nothing is a coincidence. Oh my gosh. And as I'm getting ready to channel this and shit, I'm hearing fuck them kids. And that's fucked up, right? We don't want to believe that Wendy feels that way about her kids. But you have to understand the mentality surrounding people who do things of this nature. And like what was coming up and being emphasized in the previous reading is that never think that there is like victimless scamming crimes, because that money has to come from somewhere. And also that scam and shit, that thievery started from somewhere. It didn't just start with when they got caught, much like abusers. And you have to think of thieves as abusers. Also, a lot of times we're conditioned to think of it as a minimal type of like crime, offense, thing that, you know, bad thing that people do, but it's really not. Because also think about the impact it has on your mind, body, and soul when someone steals from you, someone breaks in your house, someone breaks in your car, someone snatches something from you and runs. It's like they're violating the fuck out of you, like they're taking some form of power from you, some form of dignity from you, right? And you got to also remember too that it's real employees, real clients of insurance companies, and when shit like that happens, those people are the victims. So yeah, amongst, you know, not to mention the several other victims of different calibers that were created before they got to that point. Okay, allegedly, just speaking on the channeling that is channeling through. So like I said, them feeling the entitlement, because let me also bring this card back into the fold, right? With the Five of Pentacles, while it's about someone being ostracized, it's about like another opportunity. 2222, as I'm saying, it's a savior of some sort right around the corner. And in Wendy's mind, that savior right around the corner is her kids. And this is also coming off the backs of how her mother has operated and related to her. This is a part of how her mama has handled her. If her mama felt like she couldn't make ends meet, and this is like not this is not really an uncommon thing. I've heard of a lot of people like this where their parents get on hard times and they basically force them, the kids, to go get a job or put the kids out and be like, you can't come back in the house until you got some money, or you can't come back in the house until you got a certain amount of money, or you know, at this point, and it's time for you to take care of me, you know. That type shit. And so that's the mentality that has been passed down and is given here and amongst these two cards. That's the mentality that Wendy is operating in and thinking in as she misuses her kid's identity. And based on the gender energy amongst the imagery of these two cards, again, this is the Prince of Wands and the Hanged Man. This is very likely, it's likely not all of her kids whose identity she's using. It's likely the oldest son or both sons. And again, it's this sense of entitlement amongst like thinking like mommy and daddy on hard times. It's time for you to take care of me. You know, feeling that entitlement to do so amongst using this rhetoric to themselves of, and you know, and they're boys, and you know, he's the oldest boy, you know, it's his job to be like the third parent and da 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 da. So I'm gonna go ahead and segue to, okay, I'm gonna ask a specific question. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and ask. Is Wendy used? A card just slipped out that indicated to me that this case is just the beginning. And it's way bigger than just this case. It's bigger than the legal system. It's bigger than money. This is very spiritual. Then make sure you tune in to that first part. If you have not, make sure you tuned in. So yeah, because Wendy used her kids' governmental information to, let me ask it like this. Has Wendy put bills in her kids' names? Has Wendy Osefo put bills in her kids' names? And when I'm asking questions of the nation and the cards start like really falling to the floor a lot like that, it's indication that the person I'm pulling on is trying very, very hard to hide shit. Trying very, very hard to like put the toothpaste back into the tube. So, like I said, I asked, has Wendy put bills in her kid's name? We have the Empress card, which is the mothering card. That's a yes. And look very closely at the imagery. Hold on, let me hold it still. As still as possible. So yeah, this is giving a yes. And like I said, I think I said it, this is a mothering card. This is the maternal card, like the major arcana maternal card. She also got the Magician sideways, and that's leading me to ask more of the confirmation questions that I'm gonna get to. And so that's also a yes. And the reason it came out sideways is because of her perspective. She feels entitled to do it. So that's the only reason why it's not straight right side up. Is because she is manipulating herself into seeing it differently than what it is. So then the other two follow-up cards that we have are Oppression and the Devil. These are the justifications. These are, in her mind, the justifications for doing what she's doing and what she's been doing. Oppression with the Ten of Wands. It's giving that thing of feeling like your kids owe you. You know, for having them, because you're a mom, you feel like your kids owe you because you have to be a mom. That's what that's indicating there. Amongst the oppression of society, using that as a justification to be oppressive. And then also the Devil card here, and this is further indication of the potential spiritual practices that's also going on in the midst of this. And if you look closely here, and in this deck also, the Devil card intentionally is reminiscent of the Lover's card. But the difference is, on the Lover's card, this couple is above ground and they're like living gleefully and all of that good shit. But on this one, as you can see, they're below ground. They're tied up, caught up in a web. You can see that symbolism there with the eye. And then the devil is there tormenting them. And this is giving overly consumed with, in simple terms, excessive sin, overly consumed and entangled with greed, lack mentality, and rage, being mad at the world type shit. So, before I get to asking about the spiritual castings of it all, I was also called to ask about if she does this to other people's kids, and or if she has done this to other people's kids. Has Wendy Osefo stolen and or misused the identity and or governmental information of other people's kids? So that's a yes before I even finish the sentence all the way. But I'm gonna keep going. Has Wendy Osefo stolen and or misused the governmental information of other people's kids to do scam type of activity? And we have the 8 of Pentacles, and it is sideways this time. The head is going to the right. So what I'm getting here, so look at the imagery of this card. She's pulling from a very, very long vine that, you know, based on the perspective of this card, could be perceived as just coming out of the sky, right? So you see that the fruits, you know, the plants that are coming, that she's picking off of the plant, it look like little hearts and shit, right? The number 8 is a number of infinity, and this is, the 8 of Pentacles it's a generational wealth card. It's also a making money from your passions card. So it's two different things that I'm picking up on from there. On one end, it's the 8 of Pentacles, and it's going to the right because this is like, it's giving us a whole collective. And this could be close friends of hers, cousins of hers, very close family members, things of that nature. And they all are in cahoots. They all have been in cahoots doing the scammery, trickery, dickery, dock of it all. And so they share each other's information at will. Another part of that is scamming some other system that has to do with kids. And that's like a part of the indication of the vine appearing like it's coming out of the sky, because it's going back to that mentality that a lot of people have, that when you scam certain systems, certain companies and this and that it's a victimless crime, that the money is just coming from nowhere. And no, it's not just coming from nowhere. 333, as I stated, it's not just coming from nowhere. It's not just coming out of the sky. It's not just made on trees. Okay, you're not just going and picking it off the trees. It's coming from somewhere. It's coming out of other people's mouths. It's coming off other people's backs. It's coming out of other people's kids' mouths. It's coming out of other people's pockets and bank accounts and shit, one way or another. It's coming from somewhere. So, to that, with that being said, I want to see if I can get some more information on if it's true, the potential company concerning children that, what it has to do with this and that she has potentially scammed. So, first I'm going to ask, has Wendy Osefo scammed and or pulled some fraudulent scheme on an organization for children? Oh shit. So tricky. It's tricky to rock around, that's right on top. It's tricky. So first card we have is the 9 of Swords in reverse. Right side up, this reads cruelty. I just want to point that out. So it's the 9 of Swords in reverse. So this is a yes. The thing is, the way it's coming out in this particular case, based on what I just asked, specifically how I asked it, is not so much so let me show y'all the other cards. So the World card came out in reverse. Okay, so that's a no. So we got a yes, we got a no, and then we got a we got like a kind of sort of. So what this is the word that keeps flashing is racketeering. I don't know if that's the exact proper word, but that's the word that's channeling through, and the specific message that's channeling through for this. And that's why I said emphasis on, like, it came out this way based on how I asked the question. So we got a yes, and we got a no, and we got a kind of. The reason why this is because there is, this is how it's coming up, okay? This is the message that's coming up behind these here cards, my channelings, my understanding of my gifts, all of the things, okay? Now, It's given that there is an organization for children that she may have a partnership with and or that she may run herself. And that particular organization or whatever it is it's a front that she uses to cloak what she's doing. And one way or another, through that organization, she is misusing money that's coming through there. But how it's coming up is, and that's the importance of this card, the messages from this card in particular, which is the Eight of Cups. It's another 8 card, right? So what I'm hearing with this is some of these kids are being left behind, right? Skimming shit off the top and off the sides in hopes that no one will notice. But that's why the Tower card came out in reverse, because it's about to be noticed. It's way bigger than just this one case that they've been called out for. It's a big ass can of worms that's about to spill the entire fuck out surrounding this case. I was not even expecting all of this. I was expecting to like low-key hockey be in and out. I ain't even gonna dare no lie to you. Okay. I want to ask for some confirmation surrounding that. Confirmation and elaboration surrounding the previous messages about organizations for kids and or an organization for kids that Wendy is involved with, has been involved with, partnered with, maybe runs herself. Okay. Clarification and confirmation. Were y'all communicating that she is racketeering, quote unquote, using some children organization as a front for her fraudulent practices? So my spirit guys are funny as hell. So they gave me this card that they love to give me when I'm asking questions that they done already answered, which is the 7 of Cups in reverse. So right side up, you see it says debauch, which is like another variation of the word debauchery. Okay, so the 7 of Cups right side up has to do with like illusions, confusion, having a hell of a lot of options, not sure which one to take. Also having a whole lot of veiled options. Okay, they offering you a whole lot of shit, but you can't see what none of it is until you choose it. 444 as I say it. 4044 as I say it. Okay, there's more confirmation. So with this coming out in reverse, this is what Spirit is communicating to me, saying stop asking questions that you've already answered. So this is them saying yes and basically move on and ask for the rest of the things. And so what I am going to ask, I'm gonna start with, because I'm gonna ask about the potential root work and spell castings. I'm gonna start by asking, has Wendy Osefo been using root work, spiritual spell castings, things of that nature, magic, to harvest financial energy from her children? I can already see it's the star card again, and it's sideways. Technically right side up, but from a certain perspective, sideways. Which is a yes. Okay, the head is to the right. So again, that's just indicating a false sense of perspective. 111 as I say it. She don't see it as anything wrong. She don't see it as a bad thing. She feels entitled to do so. We then also have the 2 of Pentacles sideways. You see a reach change there. And this time the head is to the left. Look very close at that imagery. And this card always gives, especially in this deck, it's the Sun and Moon Tarot. Okay, and very much so, it's a light and dark army, which side you choose. And so in her mind, the reason why this is sideways with the head going to the left, this is indicating her knowing. Okay, over here the head going to the right is indicating her delusion around the situation. Over here with the head going to the left, it's indicating her having an awareness of what she's doing being wrong and her trying to compensate for it in certain ways in her practices. So it may be certain specific words or certain symbolisms. Hearing and seeing like the use of the color pink, and 222 as I say that, the use of the color pink in certain types of flowers, the use of the color white, again, certain types of flowers. I'm also seeing like butterfly wings and things of that nature, trying to include those delicate, beautiful things that represent innocence to try to compensate for what she's doing. And I'm hearing trying to pimp and play God, playing in God's face, playing with God, trying to manipulate God. And I had not even looked at the 3rd card because it was just stuck. It was stuck behind one of the other cards, and I just looked down at it to read it off. And y'all, I can't make this shit up. I cannot make this shit up. That's the Judgment card. So that's a yes as fuck. And God gonna whoop her ass. 333, as I said. God gonna whoop her ass. Life gonna whoop her ass. The universe, the legal system. 344, as I say that, is fixing to whoop her ass. Life is going to whoop her ass. You know, people really should read their Bible and not just stop at the parts that's convenient for them. 404, as I say that. Because, and not just the Bible, but other spiritual practices as well. A lot of people stop at the parts about the kids honoring the parents, but they don't get into the parts where the parents have specific directions on how and how not to treat their kids and the results that are inevitable from doing and not doing certain things as it concerns your kids. So these are the cards. These are the cards. The Star, the Two of Pentacles, and the Judgment card. And they all came out, I'm going to say basically at a tilt. At a tilt. Inevitably, yes, she's been doing energy harvesting type root work on her kids for the sake of monetary gain. 505, as I say that. 5 is a number of change. Change. Maybe flip from your perspective, but that's what that says. Change. Also, another way to refer to coins is change. You got some change on you? That change jingling in your pocket. Give me a little piece of change. Honey. And you know, it's giving that witch, because I'm hearing the song from Hocus Pocus. The witch from Hocus Pocus that sing the "Come little children, we'll drift you away." 555, as I said. So now I'm going to ask the same question, but as it concerns other people's kids. It's pretty much got an obvious answer there. If she's doing it to her kids at this point, we ought to know that 606, as I say that, which represents childhood, children, reflection, things of that nature. But I'm going to ask anyway. So has Wendy, I'm gonna finish the question, y'all. I know y'all wanna go ahead, because y'all be like, why you asking questions you already know the answer to, allegedly? Why you doing that? I know, but I'm just showing my work and keeping the people as a part of my process. Don't you know what I'm saying? Come on, y'all. Has Wendy been doing root work, spell work? Child, the answer is yes, because I can tell when somebody else's magic is trying to interfere with mine because they've been doing certain types of work. 707, as I say that, which is the number of karma. I can tell when someone has been trying to do spell work to cover their tracks, because I am a Leo. We're ruled by the sun, which is a major symbol of truth, inevitable truth, all of the truth, so help you God. Amongst the fact, I have Leo all up and through my chart. All up and through my chart, okay? Up and down my chart. Also, a major part of my gifts is being a lie detector. And inevitably walking into situations and upon people and truth just coming out inevitably one way or another. And or I'm the person that sees and speaks the truth that nobody else wants to see and speak. I'm a walking lie detector. I'm a walking sun out this bitch. So, and doing this as long as I've been doing it, like I said, I can tell I've had a lot of experience at this point with being able to clock and pick up the signs and signals of when someone else's practices is trying to interfere with my gifts. Because they're trying to hide shit and they're doing, you know, certain types of rituals to hide shit that may be powerful, but they're no match for my gift. You can't handle my gift, mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, the truth will always outweigh the lie. 909, as I say that. The truth will always conquer the lie. The sun will always conquer the darkness. The sun is always the sun, and it's always where it is, where it's supposed to be. You can't interfere with the sun. You might get away with it for a little minute, and that's why the Fool card came out like that. And as well as why the Seven of Cups card came out like that in reverse. Because when you do shit like that, you may get away with it for a good while. Until walking lie detectors come out the woodwork. Until walking suns come out the woodwork. And I'm not just referring to myself. You must understand that there are regular people who have spiritual gifts, whether they know it or not. And it shows up in their practices of whatever they do in real life. And what I'm referencing specifically is, I wasn't even sitting over here like shuffling for nothing or trying to look at nothing, but look at the bottom of the deck energy. Justice. But like I said, what I'm referencing specifically is like, there are people in the legal system, one way or another, that mindlessly have spiritual gifts to detect what is real and what is fake. There are those that mindfully have it, and there are those that also mindlessly have it, and they just do their job, and they so happen to excel using their spiritual gifts. 1111, as I say that. So yeah, I said all that to say, I noticed this thing of like I said, when the cards are falling to the floor, and when it's like the cards are trying to jump out and hit me in the face while I'm shuffling. like abnormally so, like when there's like no reason for that to be going on. Literally no reason, especially being the fact that a lot of my decks are big for me, but this is a deck in particular that is just right. So yeah, like I'm not tripping. The way these cards acting over here, I know y'all can't hardly see them lights come out because of the vantage point that y'all have, but y'all can see this body language like talking about. And okay, I said what I said, you know what I'm saying? 12-12 as I say, 12-12 as I say that. Like I said, I'm still finna ask again. So the question that I was asking, in case you don't remember, is has she been doing that same type of spell work on other people's kids? The card that had came out before I even finished asking the question was the Prince of Pentacles, which indicates a yes. But I want to ask and finish the question, okay? Because I'm showing y'all the work and I'm letting y'all go through this with me, okay? And the spirits is gonna allow so. Okay, we co-collabing. I am obedient, and at the same time, I got to ask for a chance to receive, you know what I'm saying? So let's see if they're gonna run with me. Hey! All right, has Wendy been doing energy harvesting spell work on other people's kids for the sake of monetary gain? And this card fell out like up under my left booty cheek. Again, I say, I see what the fuck going on here. It's a yes, honey. It's a 9 of Cups. It's a yes. The word on here is happiness. Yeah, that is a yes. So she's been doing spell work on the kids. She's been doing monetary energy harvesting spell work on the kids. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, that pisses me off. That pisses me off because I don't play about the kids. I don't play about people fucking over the kids, especially like, it's one thing if you make a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's perfect. But you going out of your way to do shit like this to kids, yours and other people's. Again, allegedly, that's how the messages is coming out and the cards is coming out. Y'all, that's crazy because I liked Wendy. I was a Wendy fan, y'all, and I've been remaining indifferent, you know, honoring the principles, of course, but still, like, you know, not sending her no hate or no shit like this. I'm still not sending her no hate, but I got to officially divest all grace with that being said. Because like I said, allegedly, all the while, I have to honor my sense of discernment and just like go ahead and pull that card. Because it's one thing for you to be taking advantage of adults, but kids. And y'all ain't gonna lie, I do keep looking at myself because like my hair creates a shadow over my hairline right here, right? And it make it look like like I'm two-tone in this area. But I'm not, and my foundation is well blended, okay? And also my foundation is the same color as my skin. So but that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Anywho, so now I'm going to ask, has Wendy Osefo has Wendy Osefo been doing, okay, I'm gonna ask this 2 different ways, okay? Has Wendy Osefo been doing destiny swapping, energy harvesting, spell work, castings, magic on Candy Burris and Todd? I'm gonna show y'all what it is. It's the Death card in reverse. And it's the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. The 9 of Pentacles right side up is gain. So, with the Death card coming out in reverse, that's a yes to the spell work. But the 9 of Pentacles in reverse is something about the way that I asked the question to where, like, I have to ask it again a different way. So just hold it thought. So, I'm going to switch it to just energy harvesting because with the Death card coming out in reverse, and if y'all notice on that particular card, it has the Phoenix on it. So with the Death card being in reverse, it's giving not destiny swapping. Gain in reverse is giving not necessarily trying to take what they have exactly. There's something else. So has the fuck? Okay. They're giving me some information on okay. They're giving me information on how to ask the question and indication on what it is. So what came out here is the 8 of Wands, You see up there it says swiftness. I'm gonna let y'all see that imagery. So the Eight of Wands is about, in simple terms, motion, having that motion. Y'all know Candy is very much so prominent in having motion. Okay, deals on deals on deals, opportunities on opportunities on opportunities, jobs on jobs on jobs, businesses on businesses on businesses, bitch on worldwide. You know what I'm saying? Very much so swift, very much so like kind of one thing to the next, on to the next one type shit. So it's giving here indications of Wendy wanting that motion, wanting to emulate, wanting a piece of that motion, that pie. All right, and then we also have the 10 of Cups here, satiety. So this is like, this has more to do with imagery than actual material. So that does indeed alter the way I was even about to ask the question, because I was fixing to ask just simply, is it energy harvesting spell? So let me do it like this, okay? Has Wendy Osefo been doing spell work on Candy Burris? Ooh, they spit out a lot of cards, and they're all giving yes. It's so crazy, y'all. I cannot make this up for real. So we have the Two of Cups. So this definitely has to do with like the relationship energy, imagery of it all. We have the Ace of Swords. We have the Magician. Once again, it's not right side up. These came out right side up, okay? We have the Six of Pentacles. And remember, the six has to do with childhood energy, children energy, the energy of children. 22 as I'm proceeding. All right, so then we have, so we do have some in reverse, but let me handle the ones that's right side up first. We have the Hermit, right side up. That's also a yes card. I'm gonna go through and like follow up the indications and the messages behind them all specifically and such. We have the four of Wands, right side up, and the label on that is completion. That's also a yes card. Okay, we have Queen of Swords, fat ass yes card. Swords also have to do with justice. Keep that in mind. We also have the Ace of Wands. Now, honey, getting that Two of Cups, the Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Wands here is like very, 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 very telling amongst having the Queen of Swords. And now we're going to get to these other ones over here. So we have the Prince of Wands in reverse and the Two of Swords in reverse. So what I'm hearing, and I'm going to ask for confirmation as I do that. What I'm hearing is Wendy has been doing, and I'm going to ask specifically, I'm going to take these cards back up and shuffle them back into the deck. Has Wendy been doing readings and or getting readings on Candy's life, Candy Burris' life? Has Wendy Osefo been getting readings, channelings, evaluations, spiritual evaluations, spiritual readings, spiritual channelings about Candy Burris and her life? Who has Wendy Osefo been getting and or doing spiritual channelings, readings, analysis on and or about Candy Burris and her life? Yes, and look at that word on there. It says works. And look at what he's doing. Now, a simple answer, of course, is that he's doing graffiti, right? But also look at that symbolism. Look at that symbolism. That's not just like artistic graffiti. That's plots, like plot point symbolisms, things of that nature. She's been spiritually studying the fuck out of Candy. Allegedly, that's how it's coming up, that she has been using spiritual work, spiritual practices and such to study the fuck out of Candy. So the reason why I went about asking that first is because I was getting indications from these cards as well as the other cards that had come out, which is Wendy knows exactly what to ask for that is reminiscent of Candy's life and what not. So it's so fucking weird. It is so fucking weird. It's like she's been using Candy's life as a mirrored ping pong and or like mirror bouncing grounds to try to formulate and shape her own life type shit. So we have the moon here, which is a frequency of loneliness that she's picked up from Candy, being surrounded by a bunch of people, but feeling lonely, feeling constantly tugged and pulled between two different worlds. Again, look at this imagery. It's a light and dark army, which side you choose. Then we have symbolism of Pisces energy here, which is dueling twin energy. So we also have the Seven of Swords, which indicates trickery, dishonesty, mischievousness, stealing. Look very, 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 very close to the imagery on this card and the way those swords look. They look like penises, don't they? That's not a coincidence. And what that is indicating is Wendy trying to narrow down the dicks. Wendy trying to narrow down the dicks in her life, allegedly. Trying to narrow down the dicks in her life, trying to cover up the several dicks in her life. That's going to lead me to asking something else in just a second. But yeah, amongst that, the Two of Swords in reverse, which also has to do with decision making as it concerns truth, as well as truth as it concerns like communication and relationships and shit like that. Right side up, it reads off as peace. And so again, there's tug and pull energy. And this is a part of what Wendy has been trying to... So it's like in these spiritual evaluations and readings and such that Wendy is either doing or getting and using Candy as a mirror for. It's like she goes in and she's like, I want this, this, and that, and that's and that. We have this in common. I want this part to be enhanced. Like these things that she has, I want it to be enhanced about me. Not necessarily her trying to take it from her, but her trying to harvest that energy. 28, as I say that. Her trying to harvest the energy of it. Her trying to mirror it and reflect it. Kind of single black female, but her trying to get around the taking it part, even though there's certain instances of that that's like in what she's doing that's inevitable. And so that being said, I'm hearing Candy has been under spiritual attack from Wendy. I don't know about from whoever else, but Candy has been under spiritual attack from Wendy, allegedly. But as it's come out in this reading, cards and my interpretation of the gifts and the channeling and all of that, that is child, that is explaining a hell of a lot as far as this reading is concerned. That is explaining a hell of a lot, because this is showing and saying that and Wendy doing this, and it made, she's trying to get around the, I'm not trying to attack her, I'm not trying to take anything from her and this and that, but you are spiritually attacking her because you playing around in her energy, trying to like harvest off shit that she has planted the seeds for. It's her stuff. And so it's very likely, and see, now I'm gonna have to do a whole video on this alone because it's very likely that Candy has been dealing with like paranoia and like stuff in her mind, probably feeling like she's been losing her mind, like feeling like it's somebody haunting her, it's somebody trying to plot on her, take stuff from her, and this and that and the third. And if that's the case, then it's literally probably Wendy doing the most in her fucking energy like this. 3, 2, 1 as I say that. And it's not the simple fact of her like trying to know certain things about Candy. It's her trying to siphon it from her. She's been a parasite. Allegedly, she's being a parasite. She's being a spiritual parasite. My God, today. And so, honey, I will revisit that specific topic in very likely a video on its own, because like I said, I'm going to do a video for Candy and Todd as well. And before I do that, I'm gonna very likely have to do Wendy and Candy first. This is extremely weird. I cannot make this shit up. I'm just as fucking flabbergasted. Okay, shocked, and a nigga named Paul. Cause honey, now I feel like I need to be looking over my shoulder, honey. So now I'm going to act straight up before I get into, child, that just rocked my fucking world. Child. So I'm gonna skip the question that I was about to ask, because I'm gonna just save that for the video on them alone. But to wrap that up in a nutshell, Wendy has been doing, allegedly, okay, according to the reading, all the while alleged, according to the reading, Wendy has been doing spiritual readings, analysis, and things of that nature, as well as spiritual castings and things on Candy, about Candy, trying to siphon and harvest energy off of her. And I am going to ask that specific question: has Wendy been doing energy harvesting, spells, rituals, castings on Candy Burris? Has Wendy been doing evil eye castings on Candy? Has Wendy been doing seesaw evil eye castings on Candy Burris? There you go. That makes sense. Okay, honey. Because I knew something is something that I because I ain't ever seen or heard of no shit like this before. I'm familiar with energy harvesting. I'm familiar with of course the destiny swapping shit. I'm familiar with the general consensus of people who only feel big when someone else feels small. But I'm not familiar with there being like a whole casting that is not destiny swapping, that is not exactly energy harvesting, but that has to do with seesawing the scales. Doing castings that call to action of, can you break this person down to lift me up? People doing casting, literally asking the divine realm, asking God to break someone else down to lift them up, not necessarily to give them their destiny. See, Wendy is a little clever. She's so smart, she's dumb. That's what's going on here. So let me explain. When I ask simply about energy harvesting, we got the 3 of Wands in reverse. The thing about this is the 3 of Wands, while in reverse, it has an uncomfortable read off. It has an uncomfortable circumstance about it, but it doesn't necessarily have a negative meaning. Meaning that even if it comes out in reverse, it isn't totally no. Because the main thing about it is that it has to do with principles, virtue, rules. So it has to do with like a dependency on the rules, the principalities, the virtue, which can be ever changing based on how each individual uses their free will. So me simply asking about energy harvesting is in reverse. So what's the difference between simply energy harvesting, simply destiny swapping, and or seesawing? I'm gonna explain. This is why I said that Wendy is so smart that she's dumb, because what she does understand is that if you destiny swap with somebody, not only do you get, and it's bringing the that final destination, I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it's the one where if they basically if they kill somebody else, they will get the rest of that person's years. But what they fail to realize, and what they realize like at the last minute, is that not only do you get that person's years, but you also get like their health problems, and like however they were originally bound to die. That's also what you end up inheriting. So Wendy has that understanding when it comes to the energy harvesting aspects, and specifically the destiny swapping aspects. This is why it was coming up that it's like she knows what to ask for and what not to ask for, and not only what not to ask for, but also what to specifically state that she doesn't want in a way that will cover her tracks, that won't end up attracting what she doesn't want. But see, here's the thing: she pissed God off trying to play on their top. She tried to play on God's top. She literally tried to pull the trickery dickory dock on God. See, a way a lot of people get away with their spiritual mischief is that they may lie to everybody else, but when it's just between them and them and them and God, they be the utmost honest. And that's like kind of a way that they keep their scales balanced for a good while. Doesn't mean that they don't ever answer to what they have to answer to, but for a good while, they stay relatively clean. Because the divine realm, the ether, the universe, that it will have extreme mercy on you when you are honest with who it matters the most, which is yourself and your higher power. So it brings up like Diddy, right? So I'm not saying that this is exactly what it is, but it bringing it up like that, and with this example, me explaining it, is that a reason why Diddy may have only gotten 4 years is because Diddy has probably lied to every fucking body else and pulled the wool over every fucking body else's eyes and shit like that. But when it's between him and himself and him and God, he's been straight up honest about what he's done, his intents, and all of that shit. And so as a result, the universe has no choice but to have mercy on you to a degree. All the while still recognizing you playing games, shawty. So much like he gets sentenced to 4 years, but he's still pulling the trickery dickory dock while he's on the inside, which can inevitably lead to him being a soldier that falls on his own sword because you just won't do right. It just ain't in you. So, all that said, when I switched the question to, has Wendy been doing energy harvesting seesaw shit? Basically, spell castings that indicate not necessarily can you give me what this person has and give them what I have, because like I said, she recognizes that if she does that, she'll also inherit their problems. And that's also why she's done so much evaluation and spiritual readings and such on Candy, allegedly, to see what does she want and what does she not want, to get the specificities of that. So again, thinking she's so motherfucking slick. So like I said, when I asked, you know, the way that I asked, but simplifying it here, has Wendy been asking God to bring Candy down, to lift her up? We got the King of Pentacles, which is a yes. Which is a yes. But God is funny. God is funny. 44455, as I stated. Because it's like God has exalted the imagery, okay? God has lifted Wendy up on a pedestal for more and more people to see her. But, and this is because of the warped mentality that Wendy has also, having an admiration for infamy. So, and it brings to mind too that for a good little minute, Candy had been like kind of quiet, and of course, like she had also quit the Real Housewives, so of course you didn't see that much of her as you usually would. Not so much in the blogs like usual. Of course, you hear about her in the news for stuff that she's doing in the theater, and then also hearing a lot of news about certain failures and negativity surrounding her businesses, and amongst like the negativity surrounding her marriage and such as well. Amongst the fact that Wendy has also been getting a lot of like seemingly new fans, new supporters and such off of the backs of this legal case, because there are certain people that see something to root for in people who attack insurance companies, amongst like the whole rhetoric of her potentially being targeted by the government and all of that, which the way it's come out in both of these readings is that Wendy has brought this on herself. If she's been targeted, it's because she put it on her back. If they milking some shit, it's because she gave them the cow. But inevitably so, I have noticed myself, a lot more people have jumped on the Wendy support train, much more now that she's caught up in the legal system than before, when she was just 4 degrees, you know, giving this kind of picture perfect image. They weren't fucking with that. When she was talking about colorism and like on social justice tips and things of that nature, promoting education and all of that, they weren't fucking with that. But I have noticed myself that since she's been caught up in this legal situation, she's gained a lot more fans and support. And so it's like, you know how they say you pray for something and you get it in a way, like that's what it is. Be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. 4404, as I say that. It's one of those situations where it's like, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it in a way that you didn't prefer. But it's a way that you created all the while. And that's what it's given. Because like I said, I have noticed Wendy gaining a lot more fans as a result of this legal situation, and Candy getting hit up with a lot of negative controversy one way or another. And that it really does sound crazy as hell because they're not even on the same franchise, 4444, as I stated. And that's also like a part of the trickery dickery doc of it all, and a part of like Wendy's scheme of it all. Emulate the bitch that's not on your show. I mean, Candy is someone to admire regardless, but I also see the trickery dickery doc in that. Emulate the person that's not on your show, because how would they know? How would anyone suspect that? Unless you come pull cards on it. So, in a nutshell, and I'm hearing the song Pedestal by Fergie. The pedestal you put yourself on was since I'm breaking it down. Now it's gonna collapse and be gone. 45, as I say that. That's 99 as well, endings. Yes. It's a lot of people on Wendy's back. It's showing me the Blues Brothers. You know how by the end of every Blues Brothers movie, they have the fucking world after them. And even though we root for them in the movie, they brought it on themselves. They did with them folks is after them for. They was out there doing shit they had no business doing, and that's why them folks is after them. They was taking stuff that wasn't theirs, and that's why them folks was after them. They was breaking shit, speed, leading the police on high speed chase, stealing cars, doing the most. All for to sing some blues. They was doing the most. Now they didn't say, oh, we trying to save the orphanage. Okay, he's still raising hell throughout the world and harming innocent people for the kids. Okay. So, child, as I wrap up on this, I was not expecting this, but as I wrap up on this, I'm gonna go ahead and get it out the way, and we will cover the rest in the next part. So, what I want to ask is, did Wendy get all 4 of her degrees by honestly completing them as an honest student, doing all of her work on her own, going through the whole entire process, 4 years each time, or however many years it took? In all honesty, y'all see I'm being very specific about this question, honey. Are Wendy Osefo's degrees totally multidimensionally legit? This card been coming out a lot. It's coming out straight side up to say no. This is the 9 of Swords, so they're saying no. Her degrees are not total tender. Now, to follow up on that, I'm going to ask, has Wendy pulled any type of illegal, scammery, fraudulent practices to acquire her degrees? So, we have the Princess of Cups in reverse, which gives a no. However, that somewhat contradicts what we just asked, but again, it's also heavily based on how I asked the question, so I have to ask it differently. And bring out the Fool card. Okay. Did Wendy commit monetary bribes for the acquiring of any of her degrees? That's a yes. So, why did y'all say no when I asked illegal? So it's the Star in reverse. This has to do with, and it's not just based on like the theme of this reading here and how it's been coming up, but I'm hearing identity. So this is the Star card in reverse. This has to do with someone who is unseen. That's why it just hit me. This Star card is someone or some people, like classmates or someone or some people that she was like overly comparing herself to. So did Wendy pay for the sabotaging of other students and or teachers for the sake of leniency on her grades? Yes, with the 3 of Pentacles. And see, that works. Again, this card has also been coming up. And the 10 of Swords in reverse, which is yes. Yes. And right side up, the label reads ruined. Or ruin. Yeah, that's a yes. So that's why it came out like as a no when I read it, like in a legal sense. Even though in a way that can be considered illegal. But the reason why it came out like as a no for that is because it's not necessarily... It's under the guise of more so unethical than illegal. It's also given like blackmail type shit. So that's also why this came out like this Star card in reverse. Because going back to this 9 of Wands card, which has to do with someone fighting and swinging. And then getting like burnt out and tired and all this and that and the third. So this is indicating that Wendy may have done a lot of her work on her own, but she wasn't really a star student, and or wasn't really measuring up to capacity for real. And so I'm hearing basic. Like she was like quite basic, and that wasn't cutting it for the types of schools and the curriculum that was in front of her. It was given like pack up, go home, you're through type shit. It's like being that, and this is not no shade, but this is like how it's coming up. It's like being at an Ivy League school with only community college potential, and or being at an Ivy League school, but you keep producing community college level work. Okay, that's no shade, but that's just how it's coming up here. That in comparison, you know, considering where she was not measuring up. And so instead of doing the work to try to get herself to that, or even just accepting that she's out of her league and just go to a different school, which again, that's easier said than done. That's a very humbling experience, especially it's like if you get into this college, you think that you have what it takes to do what you need to do, but then actually going through the process and doing the work and all of this and that, and then it keeps coming out that maybe it's not, or you know, it's not a match. Basically, it's not truly compatible. 555, as I say that. But so yeah, instead of accepting what it was and making better decisions, she just decided to use money and blackmail to instead sabotage and pressure and like ruin the credibility of certain other people to push herself ahead, which parallels what I was just pulling on and about her and Candy. Her wanting someone else to be brought down for the sake of her being exalted. And so I'm gonna stick a pin in that. Like I said, it's going way across town. So we definitely gonna have to do another part. But what I want to ask now is, because I will ask more in detail about the whole college stuff and her degrees in another part. But another topic I wanted to touch on in here is the temperature of Wendy and Eddie's relationship. What's the temperature in their relationship? Where they at with it right now? Trigger warning, and I'm going to, like, I'm not even going to try to channel in detail on this. I'm just going to show y'all the card and I'm going to read it, like literally read it. Because not only was I not expecting this, but it's also like very unfortunate. You know, the infidelity and all of that is enough, but like also it's unfortunate as fuck. And then amongst the fact that it's kids involved and they're inevitably affected. So the temperature, according to the cards and the divine realm and what's coming up here, the temperature of Eddie and Wendy's relationship right now, their status, where they're at with it, what's going on, is abusive. And it reads, I know you don't deserve to be treated like this, but I'm acting out a pattern of abuse that's really deeply rooted in me. Light, love, and healing, liberation, all in the Most High's will and favor, specifically and especially to the kids. And final question I'm asking for this video, this reading, this layout is, what is Wendy's temperature? It's a compound question. What is Wendy's temperature and status with her castmates of Real Housewives of Potomac? I'm gonna ask this again because it came out in a weird perspective. It says it's mutual. The way it fell out, I can't tell if I'm supposed to be reading it right side up, and that's probably the point. It's probably indicating that shit's all over the fucking place. But I'm gonna ask again. What is Wendy's temperature status with her castmates of Real Housewives of Potomac? What is Wendy's current temperature? So we have the immature card in reverse. I'm gonna ask for some elaborators. Okay, I'm gonna ask one by one. What's Wendy's status temperature with Giselle? Responsible in reverse. So what I'm picking up off of this is conflict. It's very likely that what I'm channeling here, and mind y'all, I haven't watched Potomac in like 2 seasons. I've been hearing about some of the stuff that's been going on, but I haven't been watching the reviews like talking about, like, you know. But anyway, but what's coming up here to me is a conversation that Wendy and Gizzard had. That was literally like a reflex. But y'all, apparently Wendy and Giselle had a conversation. So like me and their fences trying to work on their relationship and whatnot. And it's given that this situation has been backtracking it. Because what I'm hearing is Giselle trying to impress some form of accountability to Wendy, even if just taking some form of responsibility for, like, it's given, what I'm hearing is Giselle communicating to her something about the way you live in your life is not right for you to have gotten caught up in this situation. Your mugshot looking how it's looking, everything looking like how it's looking and going how it's going. Clearly something that you're doing in your life is not right, and God is trying to tell you something. Now I know, even myself, we may feel like Giselle, is very convenient for her to speak this speech to, someone, right? I mean, she hasn't gotten caught up in no legal shit, but Giselle has done a lot of despicable ass shit in general. But that's just, how it's coming out. That she, and I ain't gonna lie, to a degree, I can't necessarily disagree with her. Because, like, even if you didn't do it, like, somehow, it's definitely a situation where the universe, God, is trying to tell you something, honey. Something going on in your life is not right. Something's up. God is trying to tell you something one way or another. And that's what it's giving. Like, she's trying not to be accusatory, but trying to make it clear to her that for you and your husband to have ended up in this position, there is a need for you to go back to the drawing board and humble yourself, basically. Trying to impress upon her that some way that she's carrying herself through the situation, some way that she's trying to present herself and convince everybody else that it's not that big of a deal, that she's totally innocent and all this and that. Gives her this clock and her. That was a reflex. I'm trying to be professional in the reading, but Giselle is making it very clear to her that she feels like, hey, something ain't clean in the buttermilk, shawty, and you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, because it's giving some shit is already wrecked. Like I said, it's a responsible card, right side up. I'm gonna read it. I've got a good head on my shoulders. You can count on me. And Giselle is basically like, we don't believe you. You need more people. Because it's writing kind of similar to like the Karen situation and how that was playing out. And where, if I'm not mistaken, I think Giselle had like a similar stance then of like, baby, something ain't right. For you to be actually like this here and caught up in that type of situations, baby, something ain't right. Something is so like, you can't really be coming out here acting all, it's just, we're on dumb. It's just allegations. It's what I'm saying, acting like everything is peachy keen and the bee's knees and you just got it all under control, because clearly something is not clean in the buttermilk. So, trying to call specific attention to that. Honey, what is the status temperature with Wendy Osefo and Ashley? We got toxic in reverse and loser in reverse. Interesting. I wanted to ask for an elaborator on that, because I do know from what I've seen in her recently, they didn't leave off on a good foot at BravoCon. So can I get an elaborator on that? This temperature with oh, okay. Oh, all right. Secrets. Interesting. Let me find out. Okay, there's something I haven't been completely honest with you about. So there is some sort, the way that this is channeling through, there's some sort of allyship coming about between Ashley and Wendy. Even though all of that drama has been going on and the whole like rift they had at BravoCon, is given that as a result of that. And I'm feeling like it's going both ways, where they're blackmailing each other. So what I'm picking up on is it's a high possibility that Wendy got on Ashley's ass behind the scenes, like, I know you fucking lied to me, talking that shit that you was talking in the media, goddamn, when I got bammed up, when you know the shit that I know about you. You want to act like, oh, you're not surprised in this and that type shit? Let me fucking go to saying what I won't be surprised about you. Okay? And so that is a high possibility of the influence that Ashley got on stage. Like, let me apologize real quick. Let me make them an amends and all this and that. Let me save face. Let me clean up these tracks and all this and that. And then as Wendy had her response, there was another response on the back end afterwards. Like, look, I'm trying to make this mean, because we see each other. We can do this thing. I don't want to do this thing. Like, you already caught up in the shit. But if you want to drag me down up into and through it, honey, we can take it there. If you want to take it there, let's not take it there, because you already in there. Okay, so I can either play a role in trying to do what I can to be a helping hand to pull you out of that sinking sand, bars, no pun intended. Or if you want to try to drag me down with you, honey, it can get crazy if you want it to get crazy. And that's what it's giving. That is like a ceasefire, because both of them got nuclear bombs on each other. Honey, what is Wendy's status temperature between her and Karen Huger? Honey, I'm gonna need an elaboration on that. Cause what you mean? What you mean? Okay. What is the status temperature between Wendy and Karen Huger? Now I can't make this shit up. I am shocked in a nigga named Paul. But also, hindsight is 2020. So this is the first card that came out. It's the queer card in reverse. Now, the queer card coming out at all is enough said. It's in reverse. Then we have the committed card in reverse. We also have the responsible card in reverse. Then we have boundaries, right side up. There's heartbreak on that. We have passion. I love satisfying all of your desires. And we have the abusive card. In a nutshell, this is indicating and also revealing, allegedly, that before all of this transpired, there has been some sort of kitty clicking going on between Karen and Wendy. And I know that sounds crazy as hell, but allegedly, okay, this is how it came out, child. I can't make this shit up. 111 as I say that. So this whole situation has created like a, you know, that meme of the different Spider-Mans all pointing at each other, and they're all like, oh, how could you? Who are you? You know, so there is a lot of, and then amongst like a lot of shit that's been coming out about Wendy, and then this is also having to do with the infidelities and such behind the scenes, because it's giving that like there's been this open situation, but Karen didn't know that Wendy was slinging her cooch around like Tic Tacs, like talking about allegedly. Okay, allegedly. That's why we got like boundaries, passion, abusive, responsible, and reverse, because it's not just about the case, it's about a lot of shit that's been coming out amongst the case, from the case, through the case, as a result of the case, amongst like the behind the scenes stuff that hasn't even been revealed in real time yet, or you know, through the media. Everybody fucking everything, and it's given that this case with Wendy is about to be the fucking cats being, no pun intended, the cat's being let out the bag of sorts, revealing a lot of all of these sexual entanglements that's been going on, and as well as potentially how much money is involved in the lot of it as well. Baby, what is the I don't think the rest of the relationships really matter that much, because I was just focusing, oh, I can ask about Candace. What is the status temperature between Wendy and Candace now? What is the status temperature between Wendy and Candace Dillard now? Okay. So, interesting. And I'm going to tell you I was channeling off of these cards. So, we have no spark. So, this has drawn a huge, like, rift between them of sorts. It's giving that they don't talk as much as they used to. It's giving, specifically from Candace's end, she's not sure how to vibe with Wendy anymore right now. It's a similar thing as with Giselle, where she can just sense that something is off, something is not right. Even in like the little bit of interaction that she does have with her, it's a vibe. Like she can just sense a vibe of something that is not right, something that is unraveling, something that is doing the trickery dickory dock in her face. We also have the vulnerability card, and it's sideways with the head to the left, which gives still trying to, and mind you, this card reads, I love how I can completely be myself around you. So at one point, that's how it felt. And again, this seems like, from how I'm sensing it, this is coming from Candace. At one point, it felt like she could be her total self around Wendy, could be completely comfortable in her vulnerability with Wendy. But now it's different. It's like she really wants to. She like almost falls into that muscle memory, but something in her spirit won't allow her to tap back into that anymore, and at least not right now. And with that said, we have the ghosted card in reverse, which is indicating like, again, a major wedge has been drawn, and this is giving, again, Candace drawing a boundary, not totally going no contact, not totally withdrawing her likes from Wendy. And that's also indicated in this card too, because got the super like, which reads, there's something about you, you really stand out from the crowd, and I want to know more. And so this is like a feeling in Candace that she just can't shake, like, because she's really gotten to like Wendy from, you know, what that she has gotten to know of Wendy. She really has liked, she's really grown fond of, she's really gotten close to, and feel like they formed this intimate bond. But it's this vibe that she cannot ignore anymore that feels like, do I really know this person? And so she's like, and this is what it's giving off, it's giving that she's handling her with a long handle spoon, because she don't want to totally give up on the connection, she don't want to totally abandon it, but at the same time she is recognizing that there's a hell of a lot more than what meets the eye about Wendy, and she does want to continue to get to know Wendy for better or for worse. And it's given like a loyalty. She feels loyal to Wendy, and I can understand why. And it's also coming up in that way, like especially with the vulnerability card and the messages off of it, that like, because it's been a many a times where Candace felt like the world was against her, and there was absolutely no one that she could call on, talk to, that, you know, could help validate her, help her make sense of what she was feeling and going through. And she feels like Wendy was that person for her a lot of times, and she just wouldn't feel right not being that for her to some degree in this moment. You know, that sense of loyalty. But at the same time, and I'm sensing her relationship with her kid coming into play, it's like at the same time she knows, based on the vibe, based on her sense of discernment and how it's picking up in these interactions, that there's also a huge level of protection of herself and her own family and her own legacy that she also has to do in this case as well. Whew, that was a lot. Really did not expect it to be this long. Really did not expect it to be all of this, child, and then some more, because, child, we coming back for like maybe 2-3 more parts. And probably then some more, because I don't even think they done their first hearing or anything yet. I'm very sure that there's going to be a hell of a lot more that's coming out over time. And I will do my best to keep up with it in the spiritual sense of things. And with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this calendar right. And I am thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quarters for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in our ways, light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.